Hello, my wonderful, beautiful brothers and wonderful, beautiful brothers, guys of the wonderful, beautiful Naruto Nation. Mm, mm. I am the Dark Shadow Maverick, the Dark Shadow Maverick Nation, and if any of you guys recognize the thumbnail for part 06 of What If Izuku was Shadow, Izuku Midoriya Shadow. Mm. I have thought of something recently, and well, I just think it may be one of the most ingenious things that I might have ever thought of. Concerning what ifs. Basically, what if Naruto was in Team Darkness? Not Team Dark, Team Darkness, as in Scepter of Darkness. And basically, if any of you guys watched part 06 of What If Naruto Was Shadow, like the return of What If Naruto, Izuku was Shadow. What if Izuku was, like the return of What If Izuku Was Shadow, part 06, you'll know that Mephiles and Incarcio are both Izuku Midoriya's shadows. Not sister. Frick. Both Izuku Midoriya's shadows. Daughters. I'm gonna say that in order for this to work, basically, you have your good old fashioned classic scenario. However, this would be happening basically after Naruto had basically done what he did in canon, beat the ever living shit out of Mizuki after learning the multi shadow clone jutsu. And everything, him also learning about the fact of the nine-tailed fox. However, Donzo, the sneaky little bastard that he is, appealing to the civilian council, can have the demon on the same team with Sasuke, the loyal Uchiha, the last loyal Uchiha. Can't have him on the same team as Sasuke. So, yeah, Donzo basically just playing to the, likes of the civilian council to try to keep Naruto from even becoming a Genin in the first place, even though he already has his headband, his own one. Haruka personally gave it to him, as it was his before that moment there. And basically, around the same time that this is all going on, Izumo and Kotetsu, basically the Eternal Shooter and Gate Guard people, basically run straight in, like don't even pay attention to the friggin' secretary, or like the guards right outside of the Hokage's like freaking office, and run straight in, bolt straight in, and are just like, oh my god, Hokage-sama, you have to fucking see this. And basically, whenever Hiruzen finally gets his ass over there, he sees basically two passed out girls. And basically, one of them seems to have black hair with several streaks of what seems to be a sort of darkened greenish color. But these are just slight streaks within the dark, black hair. And the other one having wet hair with several red streaks. And finally, whenever they begin to wake up, sort of, the one with the black hair having eyes basically the same shade of green as the several streaks in her hair. And as for the other one, the right eye being red, the left eye being blue. And they learn from the sources themselves their names. The one with the black hair with the gray strands, their name is mephiles, and the other one, the white hair with the red strands and the different colored eyes, their name, and Carcio. And you guys might be wondering, how the hell would this happen, and why would this happen? Well, my friends, basically. The same logic as to how freaking his Midoriya Shadow dropped into the canon universe. They don't really know how it happened at all. It just did. It just did happen. There's no in particular reason that seems to have actually reared its ugly head. It just did happen. And well, considering Donzo wanting to at least, if he can't get Naruto, keep him from getting a team, a gang team at all, at least keep him from being a team with Sasuke, with less Lily Uchiha. So he has one of his root agents, one of his younger ones, Sai, a boy named Sai, to take that specific place. And so instead of Naruto in Team 7, it will be Sai in Team 7. So you guys may be wondering, well, what exactly is going to happen for Naruto now? Well, it just so happens that Oy, oy, oy. Oh boy. Well, in order for them, so basically Mephiles and Carcio to be integrated into the ninja society, seeing as they just came out of the frick out of nowhere, the test has already been done, Inoichi looking into their heads, trying to see if they're lying or not. But there's still the test of, well, if they're worthy of the title of ninja, and they can't just throw them in the Ninja Academy, because it's kind of in the middle of the year, of the semester, of the year. So it would kind of be off. So the only other real way to do this is for them to both at the same time face off against Hiruzen. while he's in his battle armor. And, surprisingly to the people of the Leaf Village, because, they're all hearing about this, neither Mephiles or Encarcio object. Basically, at first, Encarcio and Mephiles seem to be doing a relatively good job against Hiruzen and everybody in the stands. Well, this is indeed the Chunin Exams Finals Arena, and everybody in the stands there, they have their eyes glued to the freaking stadium, watching as these two beings, like these two random ass girls, just swapping hands with the freaking Hokage. He clearly told them before the match started that he was not going to hold back. And, well, oh boy. They are clearly matching his strength. And they don't even seem to be getting tired. And basically, whenever it's basically the time, like, Monkey King Enma. Like, freaking Hiruzen finally deciding that it is time to throw down, summon Monkey King Enma and basically have him become the Adamantium staff. And that's exactly what happens. And just starts swinging. And that's whenever all of a sudden throwing something up in the air, basically. And Garcia would be throwing something in the air, and she would just catch it and be like, chaos control. I was like freaking JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 3, like freaking Star Platinum. And we'll just slow down. Here's his movements. And even Enma would begin to understand, not really understand, but just give the feeling, wait, this is not right. And, all of a sudden Encarcio would just start kind of smacking around the Hokage. While Mephiles kind of stood back for a while. That is until the chaos control kind of, ran its course. And time began to, as Jotaro would say, resume. Time resumes. Basically, after that, Hiruzen would indeed feel winded like no other, but he would not let that stop him. He would still be swinging around the Adamantium staff and even pulling some freaking shit this, about to like a big expulsion of chakra, like fire style, firebomb jutsu. And basically what would happen next would just be crazy, as almost like some sort of Goku Black Rose shit. Like freaking Mephiles will just create a freaking beam sword and just arc it in this direction, be like, cut it in half, cut the freaking flame bomb in half. And just cause the two different things to arc in two different directions and explode. Right. Just right there. And Mephiles wouldn't be harmed at all. And there would be this one thing where there would be this big old expulsion of energy. And, Mephiles would just be like, is that your best? I'll just pull a Shao Kahn and be like, is that your best? Mortal Kombat 2 Shao Kahn be like, is that your best? And here's like, far from it. It's like these signals be like similar to the firebomb, but different. And all of a sudden it would just be like, it would just be like, mud bomb. And then be like, firebomb. Like, mud bomb and firebomb, like, mud dragon bomb, fire dragon bomb at the same time. And, yeah. Just an overall twister of destruction coming right at Mephiles. Mephiles would just be like the energy would just, like, penultimate, like, right as it was beginning to reach its ultimate, like, highest peak, it would just explode outwards, and then, like, Mephiles' hair would change from black and green streaks to purple with blue streaks, like light blue streaks, like purple with light blue streaks, and her eyes would actually turn red. But they wouldn't just be any red. They would be like glowing red. And this is phase 2, and just like juicy right there, and like Jack Harrison right in the jaw. As like it would like time would just get messed up again. But this time it would be because like Mephiles would be moving so fast. Hiruzen wouldn't be able to see Mephiles correctly. Hiruzen would just be grinded into the ground by that punch. And it would just be like Mephiles would like punch into the ground, and then like and be like and just be like chaos control, limit break. And Garcia would just be like, oh shit. Wait, Mephiles, stop! And Hiruzen would just get up like right in time and like try to use Monkey King Enma to like freaking block the attack. And Enma would just turn back into his regular form, then de-summon himself, like reverse summon himself, and like Hiruzen's like, no, that isn't right. And would like the last thing you would hear him say is like, I am not taking that hit for you, man. I am not taking that hit for you. And Hiruzen would be like, what hit? And like, break yourself. And like Hiruzen would just be sent flying straight into the ground again, also into like a wall. And he would just be like, son of a ow. And Hiruzen would just be like, I give. It would be like he would like surrender. He would like know whenever he was outmatched. And that was just from like one hit. He would be able to know that he was not able to contest with that kind of shit. And basically that would have been whatever. Hiruzen's mind would just be ended up like being made up. Hiruzen's mind basically just being made up. Or basically, he would just have it in his head. And he would basically just like call a meeting to where like all the Jonin and all the Chunin instructors, basically all the Jonin senseis and all the Chunin instructors would be gathered to hear this out, like basically know what was actually going to be going on whenever everything started. that the team that Naruto was going to be on, because yes, he would be on a team. But the thing is, it would not be a team of 4, as in 3 Genin and a Jonin instructor. It would be a team of 3. Because he doesn't even know what to freaking rate mephiles and freaking Carcio at. He has no freaking idea. So I basically would explain his motives for doing what he decided he was going to do. And that is, Naruto, instead of just being on a 4-man team, 3 Genin, that being him included, and 1 Jonin instructor, he would be on a team, not Team Kakashi, not Team Guy, not Team Kurenai, not Team Asuma. He wouldn't be on any of those teams. He wouldn't even be on a team like supervised by an Anbu member or a Tokubetsu Jonin. In other words, Special Jonin. He wouldn't even be on a team supervised by any of those people. He would be on a team simply comprised of 3 people. Basically him and 2 others. The 2 new members. He has decided that basically after what he witnessed in Carcio and Mephiles do, he is pretty much sure that he would rather have them as allies than enemies. Because that one attack right there after Mephiles basically transformed, that's basically all that, like, Hiruzen can actually think of even calling that. Basically a transformation. And so much so that Enma was actually scared. So much like he was scared to the point where he actually reverse summoned himself back to the summoning realm with the monkeys. Yeah. For Enma to be scared that much, to just leave Hiruzen to just get decked in the freaking chin, like sent all the way flying, not only into the freaking ground, but into a wall. Yeah. That is something. Because you guys gotta remember, Hiruzen isn't just like the third Hokage, like the other god of shinobi, like, Hashirama and Madara were considered like gods of shinobi, and so was the Rakuto Sennin, the Sage of Six Paths. But also Hiruzen was also considered to be a god of shinobi. And, he was also considered to be, the professor, because of, all the shit that he did. So, yeah, that. Basically, here's him using his mind, his professor mind. That professor mind is. Basically coming up with the perfect solution for Naruto's up until now shitty as hell life. Because Hiruzen isn't freaking blind, or deaf, or either of those combined, or at all lacking in any of his senses. You can tell that Naruto is basically up until now living a shit life. Because of the fact, basically, yeah, not only the council, not only the elders, the Donzo, and even like the members of the village, just like it's so like they treat him like he's the Black Plague. Yeah, and it's like that every day. So basically, like here's just like, but no more. And they're just like, how the hell do you expect to do that? And here's just like, did you not listen to me whenever I was talking about the 2 others? Nah, that's the team Naruto's gonna be on. Instead of a 4-man team, it's going to be a technically only 1 man and 2 women, because, well, both Mephiles and Incarcio are women. both daughters of Izuku Midoriya Shadow. And basically, this team of three is basically they're all going to be, working towards making each other better. That's kind of how everything's going to be going. That's how Hiruzen has decided to make it. Decided to make things. And yet Naruto doesn't even seem to know. And that's something that Hiruzen plans to remedy very soon. And so, basically, I was just later in Naruto's freaking apartment. And he's just, you're like, knock, knock, knock. And Naruto's just like, oh, I wonder who it is. And he just looks through the little hole and, in the door, and it's just like, Gigi. He just opens the door, and it's like, Gigi. I was like, hug. And I was like, wait, there's more. Wait, who are these two? And Harrison's like, oh yeah, that's right, he didn't come to the... He's like, oh yeah, he didn't come to that whole thing, so he wouldn't know about them. Besides, the villagers probably wouldn't actually tell him about what actually went on. So he wouldn't know. And so Harrison's like, oh, I'm gonna have to explain that. That is, unless they want to explain it. But honestly, from the expressions that they have on their faces, I honestly can't tell what's on their mind right now. Basically, and Carcio just walks up to Naruto and is like, or at least Naruto thinks and Carcio is about to walk up to him, but basically just walks past Naruto and is like freaking criticizing him on his freaking house or apartment, criticizing him on what it looks like the condition it's all in. Even though Hiruzen told them on the way there, told both her and mephiles about the condition and why it would be in that condition. Because of what reason, more reasons, what ways. But it seemed that Encarcio didn't exactly listen all that well. Because still asking questions. And Naruto just does not feel comfortable right now. And that's when all of a sudden, basically, Ephilis would just grab a bottle, which was just nearby, and conk Encarcio over the head and be like, oh my god, Encarcio, you baka. And you say, I'm the stupid one. Let me just take this Naruto guy over here. Try to get him as far away from you as possible so you don't start critiquing him again. Criticizing him again. And his stuff. And, well, that's exactly what mephiles would start doing. Just dragging Naruto off to some location. Not too far away, but not too close. Just a simple location. Assuming to be some place where Naruto seems to at least be a little bit comfortable. And basically, mephiles figuring out that the reason for this being, well, it is indeed one of those many, basically few locations where Naruto is safe from the wrath of the villagers of, this village. The people. And basically, after everything's explained, Ephilis is just like, Well, shit. The old monkey didn't indeed explain it to both of us, but I could basically see that Garcia was kind of tuning him out in order to muse about certain other things. And again, I don't quite blame her, but also considering certain things. Also, as we know as well, should have been more considerate about certain someone's emotions and how they felt or currently feeling. And if you can't get it already, I'm talking about you. What was it, Naruto? I'm sorry if I haven't introduced myself first. My name is mephiles. Um, and my sister, the one who started criticizing you on your house, so more or less apartment, surprised it's on a third floor. I mean, why should I be surprised? I don't mind. Basically, yeah, the one who decided to criticize you on your apartment. That's my sister in Carcio. Yeah. Basically, seeing as you didn't graduate from this ninja academy thing that we heard about from not only the old man but several other people here. What was the old monkey's name? Here's in Sarutobi, the Sandame Hokage. Interesting. Though not interesting enough. And Naruto would just look at something that was in Mephiles' hands. And she was kind of like stroking it for comfort. And Naruto would just look at it, and Mephiles would be able to tell, and Mephiles would just finally be like, "Oh, this? You're wondering what this is? It's something I call the Scepter of Darkness. It's kind of, well, something I was able to piece back together after it was broken, releasing me. Being trapped in the stupid freaking scepter for so long, and Carcia being literally entrapped within the core of the sun, if you can even believe that, which you probably can't. But considering I also was told that you were basically told the one thing no one was supposed to tell you until a certain time about the whole nine-tailed furball thing. Yeah, to hell with that stupid brouhaha. I don't care if you have a freaking plush animal mofo inside of you. Honestly, I could care less. You think a nine-tailed giant-ass fox is going to scare me? I am literally the younger daughter to the second generation ultimate life form of all of existence. Technically third generation because of said prototype. And then, Mephiles will just go on to explain the whole thing about the ultimate life form business, business. With like the biohazard, Shadow, basically Midoriya Shadow, and herself along with Encarcio. Basically, Biohazard, that's one generation, Shadow, that's the second generation. The one after that would be the third generation. So basically, Biohazard, Shadow. This is the majority of Shadow, that's 3 generations. So technically she would be the younger out of the 2 fourth generations. So basically I'm the younger out of the 2 fourth generation ultimate life forms. Though Ancarcia really doesn't seem to give a shit about that whole title thing. Which I really find really stupid. I mean, literally, the title of Ultimate Life Form is indeed, or at least I think so, something to be very proud of. I mean, literally, Ultimate Life Form. That means basically you're the best of the best. No one compares to you. No ifs, ands, or buts. No matter what they try to do, you are the pinnacle of all power in literal all of existence. Nothing comes even remotely close. I find that something to be very proud of. Though Carcio has always been a little bit more, I guess you could say, more of a cinnamon roll out of the two of us. Don't tell me, kid, you don't know what a cinnamon roll is. Well, besides the food, the other definition. Innocent little thing that, innocence needs to be protected at all costs. Oh, I get it now. You just needed a refresher. And Naruto would be like, yeah. Wait, and Carcio, the one criticizing my apartment, is the one considered more of a cinnamon roll than you? And mephiles would just be like, I know, so freaking stupid. But me, seeing as I do indeed embrace the whole ultimate life form thing, apparently that makes me not a cinnamon roll. Or not even worthy of the title. Whenever she's the one criticizing people's apartments, whenever they don't even have all that good of lives in general. I heard about what happened with you and your shitbag of a former teacher, Mizuki Tem. Yeah, I guess sucks to suck for the time that you did. But hey, now you have those shadow whatever thingies. By the way, I'd like to see that in action, if you don't mind. I actually heard that whole jutsu thing is really cool. And Naruto's like, really? You think it's cool? Something I can do? And Shadow would just be like, kid, don't be such a sourpuss about your own life experiences. Here, is this the hand sign? And Naruto would be like, well, it is supposed to be a cross hand sign. And Naruto would just be like, Tachiki Bojo no Jutsu? And basically, freaking 15 Narutos, because it would be 14 clones and then the real Naruto. So yeah, 15 Narutos. And literally, there would be freaking star in one eye and a heart in the other eye of Mephiles. And I'd be like, oh my god! Holy shit! And we just start to glomp Naruto. Like, fiercely glomp Naruto. And this would be so damn fierce that all the shadow clones would just instantly dissipate. But it was like, it wouldn't even matter to Mephiles. She'd be like so damn hype. And then Carcio would walk in on this, like, with Heroes and Gone because he really didn't want to be around the people that kind of kicked his ass. So, yeah, basically Carcio kind of walking in on her freaking sister, younger sister, freaking glomping on the kid who's supposed to be their teammate. And already has a sucky enough life as it is. So, literally glomping him? Like, Jesus Christ. But she would, like, the more Encarcia would actually look, like, she'd actually see Naruto, originally was kind of shocked, but now doesn't really seem like he minds it all that much. And might actually be getting into it. Now that she's actually looking a little bit closer. And Garcia's like, what am I thinking? Mephiles, get the hell off of our teammate. And Mephiles would just be like, oh, and Carcio. Sorry, Naruto-kun. I guess that's enough of the releases of the sexual tension. If you know what I mean. The sexual tension, hon. And Naruto would just be like, just be like, basically, what Mephiles was doing would kind of be like the equivalent to fucking someone's brains out. Freaking ass. And Naruto, with his, like, ridiculous amount of chakra and freaking stamina that comes with it, especially with all the bee juice stuff added, like, from the Nine Tails, like, he wouldn't necessarily be tired, he would just be freaking dazed as all hell. And the Nine Tails inside of the cave just be like, oh my god, I think I have fell in love. Like, this person, she is my kind of freaking person. She just decided that she wanted to make you hers. And just went through with it no matter what. That wasn't until her stupid ass Tem of a sister decided to get in the way. Stupid baka of a sister. Freaking Carcio, what kind of hell name that is anyways. And Naruto's like, wait, Fox, I'm actually starting to hear you, and what? Are you literally getting salty about the fact that, literally, Encarcia wouldn't let Mephiles continue to f my brains out anymore than she already was? Via glomping me like freaking Mega Mario style? And, like, Kurama's like, oh, don't forget Donald Trump. And Naruto would just be like, don't remind me. And just so you know, guys, I'm actually a Trump supporter. I just mentioned that because it felt appropriate. And basically, then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, like a big blur of just black, like, whoosh. And just run into Naruto, hugging him like really close, and be like, mwah. And Naruto would just be like, holy hot damn. And Kurama inside of Naruto would just be like, holy sweet, lovable Jesus, this girl is amazing. Like, what did she come back here for? And basically, Mephiles would explain that basically, and Carcio actually thinks that she's still going with her, and basically she's like, well, now that, basically, that's done, and Carcio really not one for paying attention all that much when she actually thinks that she knows what's actually going on, which is actually sadly the majority of the time, once she gets confident enough. They don't call me the Mind of Slash for nothing. What's a good enough spirit to a really good mind? Never mind about that. Never mind. Anyways, uh, seeing as we're supposed to be teammates, well, I guess tomorrow we could use to get to know each other. And also find a way to, deter fangirls, since I consider basically the only other thing that would be nearly as close to annoying as how to deal with fangirls is, well, having to deal with my sister separating us. And Naruto would be like, uh-huh, like, just stunned. Like, stunned, gun stunned, like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Oh my god, oh my god! He is broken in half! So basically, Mephiles is wanting to discuss things with Naruto about keeping away from fangirls. If he were actually to get any fangirls, that is. Naruto telling Mephiles about that, He probably isn't going to get any fangirls. Mephiles is like, oh yeah, that thing. The whole village pariah part. Well, there is one thing that we gain from this. With everyone considering you the village pariah. Nice, that means you know what that means. I'm sure you know what that means. And Naruto's always like, well, I guess there is one thing that comes out of being considered the village pariah. And then, kind of just sneaks up a little kiss on Mephiles. Like, mwah. And Mephiles is just like, oh, you flirterer. And just like, well, I guess nothing left to do but chaos control. And Naruto's like, oh my god, on top of the Shunshin, that is something I gotta learn to do. And he's like trying to, mully it over in his head, like, which one? Like, Shunshin or chaos control? Shunshin or chaos control? Well, considering something similar happened with Encarcio and something like that, and that time it pretty much slowed down time. Yeah, Naruto's thinking chaos control. Definitely over Sunshine, like Shunshin. Definitely chaos control over Shunshin. Now all he has to do is figure out how to use chaos control. Especially effectively use it. And then he figures, seeing as Encarcio, like both Encarcio and Mephiles can pretty much effectively use gas control, and they're both a part of the team, and it should be relatively easy to figure out how to use chaos control. And then, there'd be some weird noises coming from within Naruto's seal, and Naruto would be like, Fox? And, Kurama would just be like, and Naruto would be like, Fox, what the hell are you laughing about? And basically Kurama would be like, it's just that every time one of them uses chaos control, it's like you're in, the field, the radius. I guess, in, sort of a bubble. So, Kurama's like, you were in, the bubble of, the radius for that. And seeing as that was the case, Kurama kind of got affected in a way that sort of tickled, him. So, yeah, I guess you could say he's chaos control ticklish. So I guess it's a good thing that he wasn't, like Naruto wasn't actually there at the stadium whenever Incarcio used chaos control to slow down time. Though being told about it from his, basically Incarcio's sister, mephiles, still kind of had the same effect of like knowing about other things like chaos control that can do. So yeah, basically Naruto knowing like some of the more basic abilities of chaos control, basically allowing people to mess with time and basically teleport. So yeah, and it seems to be like work a lot easier with these like gem things. And so Naruto's just like thinking, interesting. And so basically, the next morning, whenever he would wake up, basically, he would go to a training ground, basically the coordinates, and what exact training ground it was would have been laid out on the basically dinner table the previous night by Incarcio. Basically, Incarcio would have done that, laid down a piece of paper with basically the training ground and the coordinates to said training ground. Basically, I'm going to say training ground 18. And training ground 18 basically is where they would basically do their thing. And so Naruto will basically show up, and they basically show up at the same time as everybody else. Incarcio and mephiles. And basically, Naruto wanting to know what the hell they were actually going to work on. And basically, Incarcio will be like, well, before they were going to work on anything, they needed to get to know each other better. And like things they like, things they dislike, like their names, first of all, better name basis. Things they like, things they dislike, hobbies, dreams of the future, all that shit. Especially because, from hearsay, Incarcio knows that that's kind of what all the other Jonin senseis are kind of putting their students through on, first day basis of actually getting to see like their team. And well, seeing as their whole team thing was kind of like botched because of how it kind of happened, the whole deal with the third Hokage. Hiruzen. And well, Naruto's just like, oh, so who's going first? And Incarcio's like, well, just, because you asked, how about you go first? And Naruto's like, I welcome the challenge. Well, anyways, my name is Naruto Uzumaki, and, well, things I like ramen, I like Iruka Sensei, I like the old man, I like the owners of Ichiraku Ramen, the Ichiraku is basically Tayuchi and his daughter, Ayame. And things I don't like instant ramen. For reasons I'd rather not explain. And I don't like people that judge before actually getting to know someone. And, well, other things. Dreams for the future? Oh, that's easy. I'm gonna become the next Hokage. Believe it. And Garcia would just be like, just like, have that look like, no, not in your life. But not really saying anything. But basically, the next thing, Garcia would just be wanting to get like this over with. And so, basically, Garcia would be like, my name is Encarcio Midoriya Kyoka Shadow. And it's basically, Encarcio Midoriya Kyoka Shadow. Because, Midoriya and Kyoka, that being the last names of Izuku and Jiro. So Encarcio Midoriya Kyoka Shadow. Basically, like, things I like. Oh, I guess I could say I like my sister. And, well, not much else. Things I don't like. Well, if I were to list off everything I don't like, I don't think we'd be able to finish this within an entire day. And that right there just tells Naruto. This Encarcia person, at first he just thought they were kind of a jerk, but now he's just like, wow, they're a super big jerk. And basically be like, dreams for the future. And something like that. It'd be pointless. I have dreams of the future if you could just accomplish your dreams right now. It's hopeless to have dreams for something which you can never truly predict with 100% certainty. Now, you, sis, what's your thing? I think I might actually still know, but, never mind. Come on, just go already. And basically, just to kind of piss Encarcio off, one thing that Mephiles would say before actually introducing herself would be like, technically, Encarcio isn't actually, her real name. It's actually Aerie, but due to some things, came up with the name Encarcio, and that's what she's apparently sticking with. And I really don't care about the whole Mephiles thing. I just rather keep the whole side thing to myself. And what she means by side thing is basically the next part of said name, being the dark. And she'd rather people not to know about that. And basically, it's just like, anyways, my name, Mephiles Midoriya Kyoka Shadow. Things that I like, well, and she just looks at Naruto, and she just gives him a knowing look, and Naruto's just like, oh, like, she didn't even need to say anything. Like, just that look, Naruto knows what she means. And other things I like, well, my sister, even though she can be very troublesome. And then off in the distance, like, there would just be, Choji and Shikamaru and, all away and, like, trying to get around 10, with Asuma, and all of a sudden Shikamaru would just sneeze, and Tojibi would be like, "What's up, man?" And basically Shikamaru would be like, "I don't know, but I think someone's talking about me," and it's just like, whatever. Like, come on, let's guy just continue the training for Asuma since they get onto us again. And so they do exactly that. And now back to Training Ground 18, where our main story is. And basically, as Metal continues on, well, things I don't like. The things I don't like. You can just feel the atmosphere get tense as hell. Like, literally, the atmosphere, as soon as she says, I'd be like, it would be like someone dropped the weight of the universe on all three of them as soon as that happened. All except for mephiles, really. And Naruto. Basically, like every other single team, basically team 7, 8, basically teams 7, 8, Guy, and Asuma. As soon as Mephiles would say that she'd rather not say the thing she doesn't like, every single last one of them, even the Jonin senseis, it would feel like somebody dropped the weight of the freaking universe like 3 times over on top of them. Like 3 all the way to 30 times. The more, the longer, freaking duration that this would continue. All the way until you basically until and Garcia would just give freaking Mephiles a knowing look and be like, Mephiles would be like, oh yeah, that's right, hopes of the future, like dreams of the future. As for that, well, as much as I like a certain someone, they just blurted out a certain thing, and I might have to say that I could indeed be, thinking of possible that she would just kind of make like hand motions, and Naruto had been around like the Anbus and like a bunch of other different people enough to know certain like sign language things like Hokage. Basically a conquest to see who will become Hokage first. Like regardless if basically Mephiles actually gave a shit. Just like competitive. But not like in the Naruto Sasuke way where Sasuke is like being a dick. And the way in which, like just two friends, having some fun. Like, to be truthful, Mephiles doesn't really even give a shit about the position. Just something, something fun to do. Make Naruto actually think that she is like fighting for the position, whenever really she wouldn't exactly care if she lost in a certain contest like that. And, well, basically that would leave Naruto to wonder then what's her actual dreams of the future. That is, if she actually has any. And if she doesn't, well, that's actually very sad. If she doesn't. And, Mephiles would kind of give Naruto a knowing look like, I'll tell you, but only after this is done, like, after all of this is blown over. And it seems that Mephiles only wants to tell Naruto what her actual dreams of the future are. That's our only real desire whenever it comes to dreams for the future. Dreams and hopes for the future. And basically now Garcia would be like, good now. As for actually getting everyone in, well, Kona seems to value teamwork overall, but considering most of the time, everyone seemed to have some sort of synergy with each other. And yes, I said most of the time. A good actual 89%. That's better than the 66% that's usual. So, I guess you could say a graduating grade. Yes, that's right. Basically, fused this introductory, this... guess what you could call it, I forget what it's called. Anyways, basically, that whole thing and basically the actual test were kind of like fused together in this. So basically, however well they did on actually socializing with each other was the actual test. Yeah, that was the actual test. And considering that Incarcio actually said that, like, basically everything that the old man said about what exactly would make for a good team, that they would probably make for a passing grade of 98. Out of the usual, 66, which would usually go by and probably not even be feasible to be a passing grade. If usual, like if they were being taught under somebody like Kakashi Hatake. Now I remember orientation. Basically, the orientation and the actual test, they were basically fused together to where the orientation was the test. Basically, to figure out how well they would gel together. And that was basically the test. Basically, usually the test actually produces a 66 percent chance that, passing grade. But from everything that, Hearson had told Incarcio about, it didn't actually, produce a 66% chance. Naruto, mephiles, and even herself actually seem to have actually gathered up all the way to a 98% chance. And that isn't just a passing grade, that is a very good grade. It's just certain things might be concerning, but not enough to, knock them all the way down to below 66%. So, in Carcio's eyes, that is a very good thing. That is something. And so basically, after all that is done, then Carcio would say, Mephiles, I'm basically sensing that you want to talk with Naruto for a little bit. I'll let you do that only if you promise to make it back in, home in time for dinner. And that's when our Mephiles would remind Carcio that they basically are supposed to live with Naruto as sort of chance for Naruto to actually have family and like, friends, like actual feeling like he's wanted. You know, like Naruto actually has like more than just the old man at the freaking ramen shop people and Aruka. More than just that. So yeah, and Garcio just now remembers it. Oh yeah, that's right. We do live with Naruto apparently. So yeah, basically, as long as you two actually get back to the house at a reasonable time, um, I basically let you be able to do this, whatever the hell you're planning on doing. Just as long as it's nothing freaking insane. Okay, Mephiles? And Mephiles is just like, okie dokie. Now, come on, Naruto. And basically just whispers, about that thing. My real hopes and dreams of the future. And Naruto's like, oh, yeah, that's right. And basically, once they were finally at a reasonable spot, or at least in Mephiles' mind, a reasonable spot, technically they would have gone by so fast that Naruto wouldn't have actually been able to see the sign. But technically, Mephiles would have actually just dragged them into Training Ground 44, aka the Forest of Fucking Death. And just find a relatively, you know, just a barren area where they could just talk in the meantime. And well, finally, Mephiles will just come out with the truth. Her real hopes and dreams for the future, she actually, technically the only reason why she didn't want to say the real one, like the real hopes and dreams of the future, is because she was afraid that Naruto was going to immediately not like her for this. Considering, the whole fangirl thing, and now we know what she's thinking. And Naruto's like, oh, wait a second, no, you're not saying that. And Nephilis is just like, she just started to do the Hinata thing, boop, boop, boop. She'd just be like, I think I might like you. Hinata, the difference between Hinata and Nephilis is like, there's actually several differences, but one big difference is that Hinata won't actually say it out loud. Mephiles, give enough time and alone space, she will indeed say it. But Hinata does not have the thing of like the ovaries to say it. Mephiles will say it, but it has to be under special, like, certain circumstance. Basically, Naruto's just like, oh, fine. Basically, the look in Naruto's eyes basically tells Mephiles everything she needs to know. You don't actually understand the whole thing, do you? Basically just explains to Naruto the whole thing about love and infatuation and attraction, like all that shit, like the talk, everything. And now Naruto's just like, oh, you feel that way about me. And you were worried that I wasn't going to like you after hearing that? Are you kidding, Mephiles? I've been waiting, like, forever to actually hear someone actually say that they actually liked me or cared about me in the least. At least something. I mean, Gigi's supposed to be nice to everyone. His job is the Kage to be, a good person. And, Taiuchi and Ayame, well, they're, I guess, an exception. But, Iruka's the teacher, and there is a little Mizuki thing, but, Iruka's different. Basically, Nephilim is just being like, damn it, Naruto. Basically, Nephilim would just explain in very, very vivid detail what this all actually meant, her feelings, and how herself and Naruto aren't exactly all that different. Though the same goes for Naruto and Encarcio, considering both Mephiles and Encarcio have a half of Iblis inside of them, which basically made them stronger than they already were originally. But who's keeping freaking time? But basically, whenever everything is all said and done, Naruto finally, understands Mephiles' plight. Basically saying, you thought I wasn't going to love you? Well, I've always been weird on the whole subject of love, seeing as I never really received it all much in my life, or at all. Sure, I may have admiration, but I never really think I've actually truly understood love. So, kind of sort of like a hungering, not really hungering, but I guess you could say starvation for love. But it's not exactly like I'm just going to be some sort of like weak puppy that's just going to accept anything. I mean, may not exactly be all that familiar with love, but I think at least I know what I would want in someone who I would want to share love with. And Mephiles is kind of getting the message like, I know. And well, that's something else I like about you. I can kind of tell, I can kind of sense what you're all about. And I honestly have to say, Naruto, it would really be, something for me if I were to be able to help you achieve your dream, becoming Hokage. And Naruto would just be like, you would be really willing to help me achieve my dream? And he'd just be like, hug. And Mephiles would just be like, hug back. And be like, of course, Naruto. But Mephiles would also come, basically, not really wanting to seem like her sister, but, there is indeed something that they would also need to discuss, considering something that Naruto is indeed lacking. Versatility. They all indeed, before they left, take their own test on their affinities. For whenever it's time for them to start learning more complex stuff like elemental ninjutsu. And, well, apparently it turns out that Naruto's affinity, like his main affinity is wind, and his lesser affinity is water. Basically, adhering to his Uzu heritage. Being an Uzumaki and all. I mean, it isn't enough that he has freaking ridiculous freaking chakra pools. Plus, the whole shit with the Ninetales giving him even bigger chakra pools than normal Uzumaki. And Jesus Christ, like, that is the shit. But, like, Mephiles is thinking, there's more than just, surface level. Like, there indeed could be more than just this random surface level. Like, and Carcio even, checked her elemental affinity out. It turns out she has a strong affinity for lightning and a weak affinity for fire. And it basically turns out that Mephiles is basically the same thing as a Carcio, but backwards. A strong affinity for fire and a weak affinity for lightning. However, but one thing that's different, and between the two of them, the two siblings, is there is actually a sort of middle road affinity. Like, there are three different affinities. Like, a middle road affinity for wind. Yes, turns out that there's actually three different affinities that Mephiles actually has. There's sort of a mid affinity for wind in there as well, which Encarcio does not have. Which basically means, like, if you pair wind up with fire, that basically creates scorch release. And if you pair up wind with lightning, it basically creates tempest release. So get out of the way, it's freaking ridiculous. Basically, scorch release, you're shooting out many suns, and freaking tempest release is basically electrified wind. So, yeah, that. But beyond just any of that regular stuff, to do with affinities and advanced neurotransformation, there is indeed some specialized jutsu that could indeed be created. Well, at least in Mephiles' mind, like, she indeed believes that there could be some specialized jutsu that could indeed be created from these affinities if using them correctly. Which Naruto having a sort of affinity for wind and an affinity for water, well, basically having three different affinities, fire, lightning, and a mid affinity for wind, as Naruto also has an affinity for wind, there indeed could be some potential in there. In fact, because of that potential, that's where they decided that they were going to start. With probably something very weak whenever considering the destructive power, basically wind being the most destructive element out of all five basic nature transformations, elements. Out of them all, wind is technically the most destructive. So, yeah, basically, with them both having some level of mastery over wind, considering their affinity for it, basically both of them having some sort of affinity for wind, they think they can do something with this. It's just that with mephiles basically having somewhat of a power up from Iblis, this could indeed be interesting. Plus, the transformation that Mephiles is able to go into, she calls her Phase 2 transformation. Mephiles Phase 2. And she can actually believe that she might be able to allow Naruto to enter a Phase 2. It's something beyond just using the power of the Nine-Tailed Fox. Something besides the Nine-Tails, or like any sort of sage mode that could be taught. You know, if he were to run into a sage, just per se, something besides, either like any of that, something phase 2 would indeed be interesting for Naruto to have under his belt. And also, exactly when he would get that would also be interesting. And regarding, like, if it's sooner or later, and in what way it would be sooner or later, could indeed be very useful. Like, beyond anyone's, like, comprehension of the actual meaning of the word useful. Like, very useful. And so, basically, the first technical jutsu, technically, it alterates from D rank to C rank, but it's more or less considered C rank because the properties which make it seem more of a D rank are more or less like kind of a yesteryear, because technically whenever it was considered a D rank was actually a while ago, whenever not much information was known about the element, which technically makes it so damn powerful. Technically makes it so damn powerful. So now that's why it's actually considered more of a C rank instead of a D rank. And technically, Mephiles doesn't think she actually remembers anything that could be considered an actual D rank, or even F rank or E rank, about any of her powers that she could turn into jutsu. So basically, C rank is as low as she could probably go with this whole thing, training with Naruto. And so basically, this C rank jutsu basically wind style murder palm. Yes, wind style murder palm. Basically, what Mephiles did to Sonic in Sonic 06 if it was a projectile attack. And smaller. That's basically what it is. Yes, wind style murder palm. And it's also very useful for taking out missing nin of a very high caliber, aka Zabuza Mochi. It could be indeed be useful if they ever, had to come across him. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So, yeah, that. So, technically, thinking, what would be the hand signs versus a jutsu? Well, technically, the jutsu the hand seals for this C rank jutsu And seeing as these are specialized jutsu and basically the art of like the shit that Mephiles and Carcio can do, she decides to basically call it like Solaris style ninjutsu or Solaris style taijutsu, Solaris style genjutsu, whatever. Basically, it's Solaris style like that. More or less Solaris. Like Solaris ninjutsu, Solaris genjutsu, Solaris taijutsu. Basically, it would be under the name of Solaris because that's basically, Iblis, Mephiles, and Carcio, fuse them together, you get Solaris. So basically, Solaris, freaking, basically that's the name basis, the main name basis. Basically, the hand signs are monkey, rat, bird, monkey. Yes, monkey, rat, bird, monkey. Basically, starts with monkey, then rat, bird again, and then monkey again. Basically, at the beginning, monkey, at the end, monkey, but in between those two, rat, bird, rat, bird. So, monkey, rat, bird, monkey are the hand signs, and in that order. So, monkey, rat, bird, monkey are the hand signs for the Solaris Wind Style Murder Palm. And it's basically a smaller projectile version of the thing that Mephiles did to kill Sonic. And I said a smaller projectile version of what he used. So, yeah, that's basically, they would be training to learn something like that. And just to help everyone remember the hand signs, basically, monkey, rat, bird, monkey. Those would be the hand signs. And so now that that is done over with, I think this is where we shall end off this whole thing. I forgot what I actually name it. I'm thinking, what if Naruto was in Team Darkness? Or what if Naruto was part of Team Darkness? I think part of sounds better. Because what in kind of sounds a little bit more generic to me. So part of sounds, for some reason, it sounds less generic and a little bit, better to me. So what if Naruto was part of Team Darkness? I guess this will be part one of that. So yeah. This is the end of part one of What If Naruto Was Part of Team Darkness. Team Darkness being Encarcio, Naruto, and Mephiles. Anyways, this is